Ladies and gentlemen, we are under 2 weeks away. That's right, less than 14 days, less than 2 touchdowns from the beginning of the NFL season. Welcome to our NFL preview show, mainly going to be covering the NFC East and the Eagles and the Giants, as we usually do here on Kata Media. But we'll have coverage of the entire NFL season, the entire NFL throughout the entire season, starting off today with our preseason preview. As always, I am Cole Thompson here as your host, and I'm joined by JT. Welcome back, JT. We haven't heard from you in a little bit, but it's good to see you back with football coming around.
Cole, it's great to see you. I'm so hyped to be back. After the way the Giants season ended, I'm ready to get back into football. I know my team got way better this offseason. I want to see what they can do on the gridiron, so I'm super hyped to get right back into it. We got a good show today, man. Do you want to lead off?
For sure. Yeah, no, this show is jam-packed. So many things to talk about, and we will start it off. Let's start off by talking about, some of your favorite moves. Obviously, both of our teams were very active this offseason. I'll start with you and your New York Giants. What was your favorite move they made?
So, my favorite move was obviously re-sign Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is my guy. I love my guy, Daniel Jones. I think he is like the leader of that team. I think letting him walk would have been a huge mistake. So I'm really glad we were able to get that done. And after that, Darren Waller. Oh my God, I could not believe. I was damn near in tears when I heard we trade for Darren Waller. And,
definitely.
That preseason game, that first drive. Oh man, it was art. It was a work of art, man. I'm so excited. What was your favorite moves?
Ooh, well, my favorite move, and I'm going to combine them, even though they're technically separate moves. My favorite move would have to be getting Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith on that first night of the draft. I mean, for the defending NFC champions to be able to go out there and get the consensus 1 or 2 defensive player in the entire draft, probably number 1. He probably would have been the first or second overall pick if it wasn't for the whole driving thing. To get him at, I believe, number 9, and then you go out there and you get the guy you would have got at number 10 anyway, who they would have drafted at 10. You get him at 30. I mean, it was a Howie Roseman masterclass. It was just exactly all the hype that comes with Howie Roseman. That was on full display this offseason with those moves. But my favorite move of them all, and this is a homer pick, I got to go with the extension on Jalen Hurts. About a year ago, JT, I was sitting here, and I was talking about how the Eagles were going to go to the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts was going to put on an MVP-level season, and he is the next best thing in the amongst NFL quarterbacks, and he's going to be the best quarterback in the NFC for years to come. And I think the Eagles got their guy, and people were mocking me. Said the Eagles were going to go 14-3, 13-4, go to the Super Bowl. Nobody believed in. Not many people believed in him. Nobody outside of Eagles fans really believed in him, and even then, not many did. I know Kata didn't. But I was full Jalen Hurts from the day we drafted him. From the day we drafted him, I was supporting. Now, I would be lying if I sat here and said I instantly wanted him to start over Carson Wentz. But I loved the move of drafting him from day one. I was so excited for him. I've always liked Jalen Hurts ever since he was at Alabama, and he continued to improve. And now we're here, and now we're talking about, where does Jalen Hurts rank amongst NFL quarterbacks? Is he top 5? Is he top 3? Now I feel like the hater a little bit on him, because I feel like I'm pretty realistic about where I rank him, and I see Eagles fans putting him top 2. And it's just, I don't see it there. But back to the original point, I got a little off topic. Jalen Hurts staying in Philadelphia makes my heart happy, and for another 5 years to come.
Yeah, man. I was definitely one of those people. Let me tell you why. I wasn't just hating on him just because he's an Eagle. You're inherently preying on the other NFC East team's downfall.
Absolutely.
If you're an NFC East fan, you do it. Everyone does it. But let me tell you why. It's when the first time I ever saw Jalen Hurts play live, I was with Kata, and it seemed like he threw 3 interceptions that day. That was the Jalen Reagor drop game.
Yep.
And it seemed like he could not hit the broadside of a barn. And from that day forward, I knew like I thought, okay, this guy is going to be out of the league within like the next like 2 or 3 years, and like because like and that's I think that may have been the same thing with Kata. That's why he was so hard on
Well,
Jalen.
Kata wanted Carson Wentz. Kata was still a Wentz guy at that point. He was still a Wentz believer. He still wishes we would have kept Wentz. But
Right.
the crazy part about that, JT, is I'm pretty sure since that game, Jalen Hurts has played one bad football game, and that was the wild card game that year against the Bucs. I don't think he's played a bad game since. Now he's had games where he wasn't great, but just like anybody does, like you're not gonna be, unless you're Patrick Mahomes, or you're not gonna go out there and be amazing every single time. And Jalen Hurts has those, but after, I'm trying to think of what point in the season it was. I want to say after the Chargers game, Jalen, of what would have been 2021, 2022 season, Jalen Hurts flipped the switch. And he has played, like I said, 2 bad football games since. The game you're referring to and that wild card game against the Bucs. In the last season and a half, he has played 2 bad football games. He has been lights out, both throwing the ball and running the ball. He has been a phenomenal leader. He has been very, he's exactly what you want in your locker room too. We see so many times these super talented guys, even maybe not as much as quarterbacks, but we do see it from time to time with quarterbacks, and they kind of fizzle out because of their attitude. We saw it with Carson Wentz. That's a great example of it. Carson Wentz, the exact opposite. All those injuries, and he let his attitude and his ego kind of get the best of him at times. And it kind of hurt him on the field. Jalen Hurts, I feel like, as times got tougher, he excelled more through those. And I think that's exactly why he's in the position that he is now. I think that's exactly why the Eagles are staring down a great opportunity to go back to the Super Bowl and finish what they started.
How big do you think that Super Bowl window is?
It's a tough question because it's not at the Chiefs size. It's not Kansas City size. It's not Dynasty Patriots size. But I think it's bigger than most Super Bowl windows are because of who's under center and who's running the team. It's more about Howie Roseman is what makes me feel how big that Super Bowl window is. Because what he did after that COVID season with the Eagles has been a miracle. I mean, that team was pitiful, completely fell apart. They ripped it apart, and they still didn't miss. They missed the playoffs in the COVID season in 2020, made the playoffs in 2021, and went to the Super Bowl in 2022. So I would say with Howie Roseman, I would say most Super Bowl windows are 3 to 5 years max. I would say the Eagles have 5 over the next 5 years, once they have to start paying guys like Ringo and Carter and Nakobe Dean and Jordan Davis, once they have to start paying the defense is when the Super Bowl window is going to close. Because they already got A.J. Brown locked up. They already have Jalen Hurts locked up. They're going to end up locking up Devontae Smith in time. Running backs you can kind of fill in, especially when you have that good of an offensive line. And that's around the same part that the offensive line is going to be gone. Who knows how many years Kelsey has? Who knows how many years Lane Johnson has? What's going to happen with Jordan Mailata? His contract going to be up around that time too. So kind of as they kind of have to revamp in about 4 or 5 years, I kind of think it's going to close. But for the next year, the next 2-3 seasons, it's wide open. Unless something drastic happens. But
barring, of course, that's barring like something crazy happening.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's football.
yeah.
It's football. Like you could see Jalen Hurts could get hurt. Jordan Davis could get hurt. Darius, like something like that. People can get hurt, and it kind of, you can't make, and then things happen. You're unable to get follow through on it. But for what I see right now, until the Eagles have to start paying that defense and that offensive line starts to go, I think the Super Bowl window is pretty open for, I would say, about 4 to 5 years.
I did want to talk about, all right, so, I've given Jalen Hurts his flowers. I've said, okay, like he's a good quarterback. I don't think really anyone would be against that at this point. Do you think the NFL may be over glazing Jalen Hurts a little bit at this point? My point is, when the top 100 came out, the fans, the media, I feel like they're giving him way too much hype at this point. What was he, number 3 in the top 100
Yes and
players
no.
in the NFL?
I can see where you're coming from with that. Now, you also got to realize that I've been doing it longer than people, so maybe there's a little bias with my opinion here, but I can see where you're coming from. But there's like reasons. He's an up and coming. He's kind of like the biggest new superstar, I would say. Like all this, he was the biggest superstar that wasn't a superstar the year before. So and he's just a likable guy. Like you see it all the time. Maybe not as much with quarterbacks, like I said, but like diva personalities, where stuff like that can happen. But I mean, the NFL is just taking advantage financially of marketing Jalen Hurts. I mean, the Eagles were just in the Super Bowl, and he played at an MVP level the entire season. Like,
right.
But I do see where you're coming from on what you mean by like, people are maybe overhyping him too much. But I don't think it's undeserved. I think he deserves.
I say that because of this. I look at his 2021 season. He definitely, you wouldn't say he was a top 10 quarterback,
no,
like a
absolutely
top 5 quarterback in 2021
in
season.
2021, he might not have even been a top 15 quarterback.
Right.
I would have had him in that like 15 to 18 range heading into last season.
Now, the difference between the kind of weapons that he had on offense it's enormous. The kind of like the amount of weapons that he had to work with between 2021 and 2022. He gets a number 1 receiver. He has the best offensive line in football. No, he has the best receivers in football, if we're being honest. He has an insane defense. How do you not go to the Super Bowl? I think a top 15 quarterback could take that team to the Super Bowl. Look,
the thing
I've said
watching.
That. Okay, good.
You watch, like, obviously, and here's the thing with the NFL, with the way the schedule works, you don't get to watch every game, like every team's game. So you don't, like, obviously you probably watch a decent amount of the Eagles just because of nationally televised, and you see them twice.
Probably
a year
watch
regardless.
like four or 5 Eagles games a year, maybe like 7.
When I go, and even when I go back and watch it now, but watching that, a lot of it, he was given this arsenal where he had to succeed, but his improvement as a player was just on full display. His deep ball, phenomenal. His overall accuracy improved. His ability to read the defense and know when to leave the pocket. He had a lot of trouble early on and leaving the pocket too early. He really settled down with that last season. His overall ability as a player drastically improved, and I think that's why. And I think you see that sometimes with the NFL, just because of the schedule, the way the schedule is made up. People that don't get to watch every single one of somebody's game, and it's the same thing with Daniel. It's similar to the Daniel Jones and Giants situation. Like, I know you believe Daniel Jones is the guy that can win a Super Bowl in the Giants, and then you see people who aren't Giants fans or don't get a chance to watch a ton of Giants games, to where they're like, oh, he's not that good, like he's overrated, whatever. But I can see where Jalen Hurts, his just overall ability as a player improved from his running ability, from his decision-making, his toughness, his leadership. I mean, if you saw some of the throws that guy made throughout the season and through in the postseason, they were just phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, in the Super Bowl,
the ones that A.J. Brown wasn't making that in the Super Bowl. The one to Devon, I know it technically wasn't a catch. The one to Devontae Smith in the NFC Championship game early on in the game, phenomenal. I mean, he made some phenomenal throws throughout the season and the deep ball. It really was noticed against the Vikings, the second game of the season. He just improved in the areas he needed to, and I think it just happened. It made it easier because it was easier for him to throw the deep ball, obviously, because he had A.J. Brown, but he also had more confidence in himself. You still have to make the plays. And the offensive line, was just as good the year before. The offensive line has basically been good since they won the Super Bowl in 2017. I mean, the only real year it wasn't was the COVID year when they started 15 different offensive lines and 15 different combinations of the offensive line in 16 games.
I think that was
So
the
that
only
was
reason
really
they lost to the Giants that year. I honestly
that was the only reason they didn't make the playoffs that year, is because they could not keep a consistent offensive line there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I would say that I can see where you're coming from in that sense and it does have something to do with the weapons, but there's a lot of great quarterbacks out there that have loaded weapons. I mean, look at the Bengals and Joe Burrow. I mean, look at Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs. I mean, he still is good. He's the best tight end in football. He's the best pass catcher, top 2 pass catcher in football. Look at those Brady teams. I mean, he had Randy Moss, Gronk, Wes Welker. Every great quarterback, just because how football is the ultimate team sport, you still need those guys around. But yes, Jalen Hurts has probably the best supporting cast in the NFL. The Eagles are probably the most well-built team in the NFL right now. But I would say I would still say on most teams, if you plug Jalen Hurts there, maybe not go to the Super Bowl, but they wouldn't. If you put Jalen Hurts on the Bengals, they would have still made it to the AFC Championship game. You put him on the Bills, they still make it to the they still would have made it to the divisional round. You put him on the Chiefs. I mean, if you put Pat Mahomes on the Eagles win the Super Bowl. That's the only person who I think you really would have plugged in and you would have saw an improvement. Maybe Joe Burrow.
Okay. So there's this weird dichotomy in the NFL. You have quarterbacks who will elevate their team, but then you have a situation where the team will elevate a quarterback. And so, sometimes you'll have situations where players are really hard to evaluate because sometimes the team gets better and also the quarterback gets better and you don't know who's pulling who. It's like all you because it's a team sport.
Mm-hmm.
How much? Okay, so you said you're more of a realist on Jalen Hurts. Where would you rank him? A lot of people are putting them inside like their top 3, top 4. Where you consider yourself a realist, you watch all the games, you watch all the training, all the clips. Where would you put him in the top 10?
5. I would say 5's the max. 7. I would say 5 to 7, 5 to 8.
That's lower than a lot of people.
I would probably put him. Maybe you can make the argument for 4, but I would say 1 is Mahomes. That's clear as day. Anybody with a set of eyes is putting Mahomes 1. If you don't put Pat Mahomes 1, please never speak about the game of football again. Joe Burrow's pretty comfortably 2, in my opinion. I think that he kind of established that last season. I would still say Josh Allen's 3. And after that, that's where it gets tricky. I still believe you can still make an argument to put Lamar up there. I still think there is. I just think because every time Lamar plays, the Ravens are substantially better.
Right.
I would say then you can put Jalen. I mean, do you put Jalen Hurts, Lamar? I would say they're my 4 or 5. Maybe you put Herbert still there. Rodgers is up there. I would say Trevor Lawrence. If you really wanted to make the argument just because of how well he played that second half of the season, I would hear you on the argument. Probably wouldn't agree with you, but I would hear you on the argument. I would say I'm probably putting him 4 to 6 or 7. I would probably say 5 is probably would be my saying, but I wouldn't be mad if you put him anywhere from 4 to 7.
Right. Yeah, because a lot of people that goes back to my point. A lot of people are putting him at 2, at 3.
Well,
you think that's too? You think that's a little high?
Yeah. I mean, there's recency bias to it. I mean, you have people saying Matthew Stafford was top 5 last year. You had people saying, I know he ended up proving him right, that Joe Burrow was the second best quarterback in the league last year. He wasn't, or before last season, he wasn't. Up until last season, I feel like he established that for himself. So if Jalen Hurts goes on and does this all again, I mean, you got it. Then I would say, if basically a very similar season last year, second best quarterback in the NFL all season long, he gets to the Super Bowl, wins or loses against the to Mahomes, whatever. And then you would say 2 or 3? Absolutely. I can understand that. But you can't go from being outside the top 15 to being top 3 in just one season unless you put up a Pat Mahomes-esque season or a Peyton Manning-esque season.
Right.
He had a great season. He played great. He played phenomenal. He made drastic jumps, and I don't think it's unfair to say he went from 16, 17 to 5 just because of how well he played and how clutch he was and how dynamic of a player he is. But to put him at 3, 2, I would say you're a little crazy there.
Okay. All right. I want to switch gears a little bit. A lot, because because I want to talk about Daniel Jones. I've said for a while that I feel like, don't rip my head off, I feel like, and I feel like the numbers back this up too, that Daniel Jones and Jalen Hurts are about the same quarterback passer wise. But the difference is Jones is about a foot taller, and he's probably has about 60 to 70 to 80% of the athleticism as Jalen Hurts. When you look at stuff like his efficiency in the red zone, you also take into account stuff like he had the 30th best offensive line in the league last year. That interior was killing him. Also the receivers were good for about 4 drops a game, 4 big drops a game. That probably cost us about 2 to 3 wins, to be honest. So I want to talk about the contracts. So the Eagles gave this past offseason, the Eagles gave Jalen Hurts a $255 million total, $51 million a year for 5 years, with $179.3 million guaranteed. How much do you think, take that into account when you compare his contract and Daniel Jones' contract of $40 million a year for 4 years, with $82 million guaranteed over the first 2 years? Now, how much do you feel like these contracts are strapping these teams to where it's hindering their ability to compete for a Super Bowl? Because if everybody has to pay their quarterback like this, what is that going to do to these teams?
So I would say when you're keeping a quarterback, you're always going to overpay. It always is going to happen. You're going to always overpay for them to stay. And it's the right thing to do, in my opinion. I would say this is where the difference between good GMs and great GMs comes into play. Good GMs can rebuild a team into a Super Bowl caliber team. Great GMs can maintain a Super Bowl level team. So I would say that's where the advantage, in my opinion, as an Eagles fan, is with the fact of, I feel like they have a top 2-3 GM in the entire NFL. And that's why I'm confident we're going to be able to, because he can consistently, since he came back after the Chip Kelly thing, Chip Kelly was the GM or whatever for a little bit. He brought the team to a Super Bowl level. Then they went to the divisional round, and then they made the playoffs. They were consistently a playoff team. Took a little bit of a bump year. Things went south for a bit, and the next year they were back in. He scrapped it. Next year they're back in the playoffs. The year later they're back in the Super Bowl. So I would say this is where you see what you really have in your GM. Are they a good GM? Can they build a Super Bowl team? Or are they a great GM? Are they able to maintain a Super Bowl team? And that's what the Chiefs have done. That's what the Patriots were able to do. So that's what's going to come into play. That's what you're really going to test out. I mean, the Giants GM's in his second season?
This is second season now.
Second season. So yeah. I don't know much about him, so I don't know necessarily his history with stuff like that. But this is where you're going to see. Obviously, he's a good GM. He's really brought the Giants to a playoff level, obviously, last year, and they're even better now heading into this year. It just comes into play. Is he going to be able to keep that same success over an extended years and periods of time? Or is it going to be, okay, once they got to start paying guys, the window's going to slam shut? It's not going to close. It's going to slam shut.
Right. So you're saying it's more about the GM and how they pay these guys, less about what they pay them, more about
it's
how
more
they
about
pay
what
them.
What moves they're able to make around them to continue the success. The timing of paying him is everything, and that's part of the reason why the Eagles wanted to pay him now, is so they can lock him up, and they still can pay Devontae Smith, and they can still pay some other guys as more cap room frees up over time, and they don't have to spend all the cap 1 year on Jalen Hurts.
This has been true for forever, really. It has always been better to pay guys early and often. Pay them early and often. We saw this we actually I think the first kind of big contract in my memory that was pretty recent was Jimmy Garoppolo. He had that really good, what was that, his 2017 season, and then they gave him that big contract just based off those last 6 games.
Yes, that was the year he got traded there.
Yeah.
Yes, and then 2018 he got hurt. 2019 they went to the Super Bowl.
But in that contract, they were within that contract. They were able to bring the 49ers to what, two Super Bowls, one Super Bowl,
one Super Bowl, and another, and well, technically one Super Bowl and three NFC championships, including the Super Bowl they were in.
That's incredible.
So, yeah.
That's why you pay your guys early and often. Like Daniel Jones is not worth. Like I love Daniel Jones, and like I think he is, but that's because he's my guy. But like what he did this season was not worth $40 million. He's going to play up to that amount, and I'm really glad that they did that, because if they gave him like a 1-year deal, for example, they wouldn't be paying them $40 million next year. They would maybe be paying him 55 or 60, depending on what he does. If he continues to improve like he does every year.
Also, it comes into play of the fact that sometimes the quarterback just works for the situation. I think the Giants paying Daniel Jones that was nothing. I'm okay with that. Like, that makes sense to me. But if, say, the Raiders would have paid him that, to me, that's like, okay, that's different. Because, again, the ultimate team game, the way the offenses are set up, the way the schemes are done, what's built around him, you build around your quarterback for the most part. That's why people think all these times, you can just plug and play these quarterbacks, and you see it not work so many times. I mean, yeah, it worked for Brady in the Bucs, but he's Tom freaking Brady. It might work for Rodgers in the Jets, but he's Aaron Rodgers. I mean, same thing with the Broncos. Like, other than the all-time greats, these like good quarterbacks you see. I mean, Kirk Cousins, it took them a little bit to get their feet wet and figure some things out. Like, they didn't have a ton of success. I mean, they really still haven't had a ton of success with Kirk Cousins, but they thought, oh, now we improved from Case Keenum to Kirk Cousins. It's not necessarily always how it works. You kind of got to go out there and build around him. So you keep your quarterback because he's going to work for you. You know that Daniel Jones has continued to get better. It's been a slower climb than you would have liked, but he's continued to improve over his career. And now you're in a position
later climb. Not so much as a slow climb.
Later?
He was a bit of a late bloomer, which is kind of unfortunate because you really want to take advantage of that rookie contract. But they got him. Let me check my list. He's the 12th highest paid quarterback in the league. Joe Burrow's going to get
I think that's unfair.
Yeah, Joe Burrow's going to get like what, 60 million, 58 million.
I don't think that's unfair.
They'll put him at 13, right?
Yeah, I don't think paying Daniel Jones is the 12th. Like, say you just pay the quarterback based off what you rank, like what the whatever best quarterback they're in the league. Paying Daniel Jones like he's the 12th best quarterback in the league, in my opinion, is not a bad deal, because he's probably right around there. And if he does it again this year, he's going to be top 7. He's going to be in that top 7, top 10 range. And if he can, or maybe even higher, depending on how much he improves this season. But I would say paying him as if he's the 12th best quarterback in the league is not a bad deal.
Yeah, I mean, like, I want to go through these contracts. I have them right here. Because this was the offseason of the new quarterback contracts. Most recently, Justin Herbert signed his the biggest deal for a quarterback ever, $262.5 million over 5 years. It's $52.5 million a year with $218.7 million guaranteed. And what is he, like the 4th, 5th, 6th best quarterback in the league?
Yeah. I mean, that's not terrible, but and you go into the question. Say the Chargers don't extend him if that's the only way he'll stay and they don't do it. What do they do at quarterback? Go draft somebody and restart? I mean, they already invested so much in this. Keenan Allen will be gone by then. Austin Eckler probably will be gone by then. I mean, their guys on defense, J.C. Jackson will probably end up being gone by then. Khalil Mack would be gone by then. So you got to do it based off the fact of what else are you going to do. You know what you got with Justin Herbert. I know they haven't had a ton of winning success with him, but you know you can win with him. I mean, you can win with Justin Herbert. Come on.
Right. Oh, yeah. Well,
yeah. I would say you can. Oh, come on. Listen, they're just in they're facing the Chiefs twice a year. They're in the Chiefs division. I don't see them winning the division anytime in the near future because they're in the Chiefs division. They're in a very good division still. And then they go out there in the wild card, and then they got to face a guy like Trevor Lawrence and a tough team like the Jaguars on the road. Then they got to play a road playoff game. So, yeah, you might not find a ton of, winning success, but you got to look at the situation. You're facing Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs in their division. They're probably going to win the division damn near every year, which means you probably got to win 2-3 playoff games on the road to get to the Super Bowl. There's not many teams that have done that.
It's just that same, and I actually talked about this a little bit last year. It's that same pattern where there's a really, really good quarterback in the AFC that's at the top of the AFC, and everyone is crawling, like clawing up, trying to catch up. This is what Tom Brady did for the past 22 years. We forget, like, that's the reason the AFC is so stacked, because all of these AFC teams. Let's look at the top 12 paid quarterbacks right now. Herbert, AFC. Lamar, AFC. Hurts, that's NFC. Rodgers, AFC. Russ, AFC. Kyler's now the NFC. He's getting paid $46.1 million a year.
That one didn't work out. Work out.
Watson, AFC. Mahomes, AFC. Allen, AFC. All these guys, all these teams, they're like clawing for that top spot because they know now. Before they had to compete with Mahomes, and that's why we have a Mahomes now. But now, now they're trying to compete with Mahomes, just like they were trying to compete with Tom Brady.
Well, that's the thing. Look at how all the top quarterbacks in the NFL: Mahomes, AFC; Burrow, AFC; Allen, Lamar, Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, 7, 8, maybe not 7 of the 8, 7 of the 10, 6 of the 10 best quarterbacks, top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL are in the AFC.
Yeah.
And then you still got a lot of young guys.
Yeah, I mean the second best quarterbacks in the NFC, but I'll let it slide. Yeah, I'll let it.
Who's the second best quarterback?
Oh, what? No, what? No one.
Oh, come on.
I mean, look. I mean, Danny Dimes. Look.
Oh God! All right.
Look. Hey, Patrick Mahomes don't speak Spanish. That's all I'm saying.
Let me ask you now. Where would you rank Daniel Jones?
Honestly, or are we fucking?
Honest to God, honest to God opinion. I'm just wondering. Honest to God.
I think if you put him anything below 8, you just haven't watched him. I would put him over guys I actually would put him on the same level as Justin Herbert. I think they're in that, you have the tier list. I think they're in that same tier. You have your top 3 elite guys. You have Mahomes, you have Burrow, and maybe you throw Lamar in there. And then you'll have or maybe I guess you'll throw Allen in there as well. And then you'll have your second tier, still really, really good. You might throw Hurts would probably be the top one in there. And then maybe Herbert. And then I'd put Daniel Jones there. And then right behind him, I'd probably slide A-Rod, Trevor Lawrence. And then below, in a tier below that, that's when you kind of start, that's Jared Goff, Matt Stafford, Dak Prescott.
Let's go. We're going to go a little off topic of what we originally planned. Let's hear. I know it's on the spot. We'll do top 10 quarterbacks in order right now. I want to hear it because this is just interesting at this point.
Okay. You know what? That's all right. So 1 is Mahomes.
One's Mahomes, clear. Okay.
One's Mahomes. Okay. One's Mahomes. 2 Burrow. I think we agree on that.
Yeah.
So 3 is really hard because I don't want to put Lamar because I actually don't really Here's the thing. I know he's a good quarterback. I just would hate to build my team around him because I'm scared to death that he's going to get injured. That's my thing. We'll put Lamar there because I know he's a really good quarterback. It just scares me.
I would put Josh Allen there, but I would say
okay. All right.
Go through your list and then I'll go through mine. So you have
okay.
So do you have 3, Lamar?
Yeah, you know what? We'll put Lamar there, and then 4, just because his season, good season, but it was not his best season. We'll put Allen right there, so that's 4, and then 5, I would probably put Herbert there, and then 6, if you want to put Aaron Rodgers or Jalen Hurts, and then so Jalen Hurts is my 6.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Jones would probably be my 7. Let me think. Okay. No, Daniel Jones would be my 7.
Okay.
And then Aaron Rodgers would be my 8. Let's see who we got. I don't want I Jared Goff, it would probably be my 9.
Not Trevor Lawrence. You put Goff over Lawrence.
Oh yeah. T-Law. See, I keep forgetting guys. That's my problem. Yeah.
No,
So
you're good.
I put T-Law at 9, and then I'd probably put Goff at 10. Am I forgetting anyone?
I mean, yeah. This will go into our next topic because I know you mentioned in the thing, and I don't know how much you were kidding about Dak Prescott.
I mean,
In the
I
thing,
actually would probably put him at like maybe 11 or 12. He's
okay,
right
that's
out. He's
fair.
like right up.
That's
He's
fair.
right
That's fair.
up 10.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
like no, he's bottom. He's bottom 3. Like
yeah, I saw that in the thing, and I thought that was just messing with the Cowboys fans,
Yeah.
whatever. But
Yeah.
all right, I would say Mahomes was my 1, Burrow's my 2. I would still put Allen 3. I'd put Lamar 4. I'm gonna put Hurts 5.
Okay.
I'm gonna put Rodgers 6. I mean,
Herbert?
Aaron Rodgers.
Where you putting
I'm gonna
Herbert?
put Herbert right after him. I just still think Aaron Rodgers, back-to-back MVPs up before this year, back-to-back MVPs. That still holds some value to me. I know he didn't have a phenomenal year last year, but he wasn't in a great He wasn't in a great situation, obviously. So I put Herbert 7. This is where it gets really tough because this is where you get, like you said, the Trevor Lawrence, Daniel Jones, dude. Because here's the thing: when I hear Daniel Jones top 10 quarterback, it doesn't sound like it's like I'm like, what the like that sounds crazy.
It took me a while, dude. You know when I bought this jersey? You know when I bought this jersey? Week 17 at halftime. That's because you know why? Because that's when I was truly sold on Daniel Jones. Like truly in my heart. Like before that, like halfway through the season, I'm like, okay, I think we might have a top 10 quarterback here. Yeah. But like that Colts game when we clinched the playoffs at halftime, bro, I ran up to the stands. I bought this jersey, and then I got it signed after the game, which makes it really special to me.
That's awesome.
I
would say I'm gonna go Lawrence 8 just because Lawrence. I mean, he was playing like the best quarterback in the league for the second half of the season.
Okay,
I would put Lawrence at 8. I mean, after this is I literally, oh man, this is so tough. I still want to give Stafford. I might put Daniel Jones 9. You might get me to do it, dude. You might, because you're right. The numbers, like was in a bad situation, and if you look at the numbers, and his numbers are a lot better than it seems. I think he just gets a bad rap because he did, like you said, it took a while. He was a late bloomer, and he did struggle, and he fumbled the ball a lot. And the Giants were obviously not that great for a while there, but I mean, he took massive leaps last year, and he's a dude. He doesn't get enough credit for his running ability. He's a very good runner.
He is probably. I've said that Jalen Hurts is probably one of the most physical, like one of the most probably one of the most physically gifted quarterbacks. He's more physically gifted than most running backs, most receivers. Like, you know, if you put him in open space, he's probably the second best quarterback in the league. Like running the ball.
Oh, other than Lamar.
Lamar. Yeah, I'd probably put Lamar there, then Hurts, then Fields, and then I put Daniel Jones.
Oh, you know what? No, I would probably put Fields in open space over Hurts, to be honest. Really? I would say Hurts is better for design runs, but Fields that's another guy who I kind of, I wouldn't say he's top 10 yet, but he's gonna have a Jalen Hurts. Like, he is literally
he's probably 15, 16 at this point.
Yeah, and I think he's gonna have a Jalen Hurts. I wouldn't, maybe not to the level he did, but he's gonna have a massive jump this year. But I'm gonna say, man, running wise, I would say Daniel Jones is probably a better just like runner, but I would say, but open field running, I would probably go Fields. I would say Lamar, Fields, Hurts would probably be my top 3. Scramblers, and then maybe Daniel Jones, you could make an argument for 4. Josh Allen's up there still, just because of how big he is.
Yeah.
Mahomes is a very...
how big Daniel Jones is. Daniel Jones is 6'5", 240. He's a big dude. He literally runs... Did you see what he did to Patrick Peterson in the Vikings game? In the playoffs?
The one and only time I ever cheered for the Giants. I laid a good amount of money on him that night.
Really?
Yeah. But I mean, scramblers, I wouldn't necessarily maybe put Daniel Jones up there, just overall scramblers, because then Kyler Murray's got to be up there I mean, that's the only thing that's kind of kept him going is
Yeah.
just his scrambling ability. Maybe not as a pure runner just because of how small he is, but escaping the pressure and making something happen, like just creating something out of nothing. He's still up there. But yeah, back to I would probably say, I mean, Stafford, I still want to give him some credit. I would say Daniel Jones would be 9 to 11 for me. I would say you 9 to 11. Something.
Hey,
all right.
Hey there. Let's chill out with that. Let's chill out.
All right, then I'll say 9 to 12.
Whoa, hey. Okay, hold on. You're doing a Joe Shane on me. You're giving me the higher number. I'm not taking it, so you're giving me a lower number. Oh man. All right. So
I would say Stafford, Dak Prescott, Daniel Jones. I'm gonna throw Jared Goff in there just so I make it 12. But I would say Jared Goff's probably my 12. Dude, Jared Goff had a sneaky good year last year. Jared Goff had a sneaky good year last year. Yeah. I don't think he gets enough credit for it, but he had a sneaky good season last year. I'm excited for him, man, because I want him to succeed so bad because I feel so bad for that guy. I feel so bad for him.
Kind of get dealt a bad hand.
Yeah,
it almost felt like the Rams kind of sent him to die in Detroit.
Yeah, and
I felt like that.
I think they did, and I feel like he just has the right coach there. I mean, I'm not a Dan Campbell super fan. I think schematically he has some issues, but I think the guy, he just makes you want to. He's a guy you want to play for. He makes you want to play better.
Yeah. Okay. So now we got the quarterback rankings, and now we agree that Daniel Jones is definitely the second best quarterback in the league. I want to go over our team's Madden ratings because I think they intentionally do this. I think a lot of people know this at this point. I feel like EA will intentionally give players ratings that are just anyone can look at that and be like, no, that's not accurate. So let's go over the Giants first because I feel like that's a bit more interesting because I'm looking at the Eagles right now and I'm seeing a lot of nines, a lot of 90s, a lot of high 80s. All right. So first, the top 5. Dexter Lawrence, they had it at 94. I think that's fair. Saquon Barkley, they had it at 93. I think that's also fair. Andrew Thomas. Yeah. And then next one, they had Andrew Thomas at 92. I don't like that. That needs to be higher. He won all pro.
I would say that definitely needs to be a little bit higher. I would probably say around a 94. But my thing is he maybe just like a 93. I don't know. It's tough, man. He's like that 93, 94, but I agree. He should be a little bit higher.
The guy went all pro. And I feel like if you win all pro, if you are a top 2 player in your position, that's like a 94, 95, like immediately.
I'm sure you're thrilled about Daniel Jones ranking. We'll get there, but
that's gonna be a long time until we get there. So, buckle in.
Yeah.
All right, Darren Waller. They gave him an 86. That should probably be a little higher. I feel like I understand.
Yeah,
because
I get it
of the injuries, but I want that to be a little higher. The next one is Graham Gano. They gave him an 83. I guess I'm okay with that. He's probably one of the best kickers in the league.
Yeah.
Then Leonard Williams. I don't like his rating. They give him a bad low rating every year. 82. That doesn't really track, considering his production. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I won't fly. I don't. Maybe a little bit higher, but I don't think that's unfair. It kind of depends on what you're rating the rest of the other ends in the NFL. I would have to see that to really have a good idea.
I made a video after the Giants beat the Vikings in the playoffs where I fixed Daniel Jones' ratings and I made
I saw that.
I made him an 88 overall, and I was just going off the stats, what each individual stat, what I feel like, but that put him. It ended up putting him as the 4th or 5th best quarterback in the league, and I said these other guys need to be higher. I think it had Jalen Hurts at an 84. That definitely needs to be higher. like it's I think the rating system, I understand what they're doing, but when you're actually playing the game, it just doesn't really like when I'm playing Madden, I don't feel like I'm playing with Daniel Jones unless I fix the stats. I don't feel like I'm playing with Jalen Hurts. I don't feel like I'm playing with like I don't know who's like a I don't feel like I'm playing with like Jared Goff even because like they'll like miss like how often do quarterbacks really miss throws? Like top 10 quarterbacks miss throws.
Yeah, not often, and they do it all the time, man.
Right. Yeah.
On the Giants list, another two guys that kind of stand out to me: Sterling Shepard. I don't know how you feel about that one.
He's injured every year. I love the guy.
Yeah.
If he wasn't injured every year, he'd probably be like an 85 overall.
Yeah,
he'd probably be like a top 30 receiver. Top 20
the one
receiver.
guy who I have a problem with. I think he should be rated a 0. Kayvon Thibodeau. I hate Kayvon Thibodeau.
Kayvon Thibodeau is a dog. Although
rate him a 0. Yeah, no. If disrespecting Nick Foles like that, shame on him. He should be given a -80 for morals and just give him a 0. Just take him out of the game. But yeah.
All right. I think Kayvon's rating, like realistically speaking, I feel like I'm okay with it for now. I think he probably needs to get to like an 87 but he needs to be like an 87, 88 by the end of this year. Otherwise, I'm gonna have a problem with EA.
Oh my God, these Eagles ones suck.
Yeah. We'll what's about a couple ones you don't like, or a couple ones you do like?
Darius Slay's too high in my opinion.
You think?
I would like to see maybe like an 87, 88. I still think he's very good, but 92 a little high in my opinion. Jason Kelce, that's kind of low for a guy who's been a top 2-3 center in football for his entire career. I would like him to see like a 94, 95.
Jason Kelce is like a Hall of Famer. You'd think he'd be like a 96.
Yeah. Hassan
AJ Brown, I think AJ Brown's low, 91.
AJ Brown's low. I think it's tough because they kind of share touches, and a lot of this is to keeping the teams even. Like they want to keep the teams even because if they gave these guys all their true ratings, some of these teams would be too overpowered.
Yeah, but like, come on, like if they Tyreek Hill actually talked about this on a podcast when he was on the Chiefs. They didn't want to give Pat Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Tyreek Hill all 99s because that would make them too overpowered. Yeah. But like, so what? So what? That only speaks to how good the teams are. And if it really is that bad, make the other teams play up to them. If it really is that bad, don't disrespect these guys by saying, "Oh, you're probably like the 6th best player at your position, even though you won All Pro." Like that's not. You can't do that.
Yeah. AJ Brown should be a little bit higher. Yeah. I would like to see him at like a 93. Hassan Reddick should be at 94, 95. I mean, that guy's an absolute animal. A 90, disrespectful. Dallas Goedert, maybe a little high. Probably like an 87 for me. Jalen Hurts,
like 85, 86 with Dallas Goedert.
Jalen Hurts, a little bit higher. I would like to see him crack 90. I feel like that would be fair. But
when I fix Jalen Hurts ratings, whenever I do like a Madden franchise, I'll usually put him at like a 92.
I would say
I'll do all the others, but I'll put him at like a 92 because that usually will put him inside like the top 6.
Yeah, that's fair. I would say I would like to see him at least crack 90. Devontae Smith, he's a slot receiver who doesn't get the majority of targets on a running heavy offense. I can see why he's only an 87. Jordan Mailata should be a little bit higher, like an 88, 89. James Bradbury, that's fine, I guess. Josh Sweat's fine. DeAndre Swift, 81. I feel like that'll go up. Jake Elliott at an 81 is ridiculous. That should be at least an 84, 85. He's right up there with Graham Gano.
Yeah.
So that's disrespectful.
I'll never forget when Jake Elliott broke my heart. I think it was a meaningless game. The Giants were out of the play. I think they were like.
Are you talking about the 61-yarder?
Yeah.
That was like week 3. That was early in the season.
Yeah, but like the Giants almost beat y'all because Odell Beckham caught that touchdown. And I was really excited because I thought the Giants were finally going to beat the Eagles.
And then Jake Elliott hit. That was the year they won the Super Bowl. That was awesome.
Really?
But yeah, I would say I don't really have too many problems with these. I mean, some guys need to be adjusted a little bit. Probably like 3 or 4 guys I have a big problem with. Avonte Maddox should be a little bit higher too. But yeah, overall, Jalen Carter is going to be much higher. But I get he's a rookie, so
Yeah. All right. Let me scroll down to Daniel Jones here. He's all the way down here. Daniel Jones 75. That's absolutely ridiculous. That's criminal. Like you can't like that's because
wasn't he higher last year?
You know what? I think he may have actually been a 90 or a 76 at one point during the season.
That's insane. How are you going to put him at 75? I feel like at least at the bare minimum, you got to at least let the guy crack 80.
Yeah.
At the absolute minimum. I'm probably putting him like an 83.
Yeah, a lot of people in my comments of that video I made after the Vikings game, after the Eagles game, like after, Danny Dimes got his, well, actually that week actually never happened. I have no recollection of that week, so like it didn't happen. They just
will never happen either.
Like one day, like they were just in the playoffs, and like the next they just weren't. Like how that happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That happens every once in a while.
Whatever. So, like a lot of people were saying, okay, he's probably like an 82, 81, maybe. He's definitely an 80 though, because bro, you drop a 75 overall quarterback into Madden. That does not feel like a top 10 quarterback. No. Even if you think it's a top 12 quarterback, that does not even feel like a top half quarterback.
Yeah.
Oh man, like he just feels slow, feels like sluggish, has no arm strength to speak of. Which when in reality he has like actually like one of the best deep balls in the league, and that's always been one of his strong suits is his amazing deep ball.
Yeah, I know what you mean. We only got about 8 minutes left, so let's switch over. Let's give our official record predictions for the NFC East. Who do you have coming in the last place in the division?
Want to say it at the same time?
No, Oh, yeah. 1, 2, 3. Commanders.
Washington.
Yeah. The Commanders are coming in last place. I have them going 4-13.
Wow. Okay.
The schedule is brutal. Brutal. I mean, think about it. All right, so they start off at home against the Cardinals. Then they travel to Denver. And then it gets tough. You're at home against the Bills. You're going to lose. You're on the road against the Eagles. You're going to lose. You get the Bears. I think the Bears steal one from you on a Thursday night coming on a short week. Falcons, you'll take that one. At the Giants, loss. Hosting the Eagles, you might sneak it out, but I'm going to say a loss. Tough road games against the Patriots and Seahawks, loss. You lose to the Giants again. You lose to the Cowboys and the Dolphins. You'll beat the Rams, and then you got the Jets, 49ers, and Cowboys to close it out. I mean, it's a brutal schedule for the NFC East this year, and the Commanders are going to probably fall the most victim to it.
4-13. That's a bold prediction. Is Sam Howell on your radar? What are your thoughts on him?
Yes, actually though, but I do love Sam Howell. I think this is going to be a tough year because of how hard the schedule is, not because of how bad the team is. I think they just happen to have the worst team in the division. They could shock us, but I think they have the worst team in the division. You combine that with how tough their schedule is, it's going to be a tough year for them.
Right. So what do you have the Eagles doing this year?
So we'll go through third place. Don't shoot me. I got the Giants coming in third at 10-7. Again, tough schedule. I have them beating Dallas week 1, beating the Cardinals week 2, losing to the 49ers and the Seahawks. And then I have them losing just because it's on the road. I have them losing to the Dolphins and then losing to the Bills, beating the Commanders, losing to the Jets, and then they go on a streak here. They win 3 of their next 4. They beat the Raiders, lose to the Cowboys, beat the Commanders, beat the Patriots, beat the Packers, beat the Saints, lose to the Eagles, and then they beat the Rams and Eagles to close out the season.
Wow, so you and I disagree on one game. I think
what was the game?
So I think on that little road trip where they go, the AFC East road trip they go on, where it's Dolphins and Bills. I think they win one of those. I don't know which one it's going to be. Fair. I think they win one of those. I think it's probably a lot higher likelihood to be the Dolphins.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't hate that.
Yeah,
it's tough to predict these things, and obviously, but I just like I said, if they were at home against the Dolphins, I probably would have had them beat. But on the road, I mean, it's always tough. And I believe they're coming out. Who do they play right before that? They're in a tough stretch there.
They play. Yeah, that's a tough straight right there. They play the Seahawks at home.
Yeah.
I'm going to every home game. So
yeah, lots of Monday night games. So yeah, those are tough stretch, but I still think they're a playoff team.
Yeah, I mean the NFL clearly thinks they're going to be a good team. They give us like 6 like primetime games. That's a far cry. I don't think we had any. I think we had 2. I think we had 2 primetime games last year. We had Thanksgiving and we had one other. But the year before that, we didn't
have the Commanders game. The Commanders game was the other one.
Yeah.
And then and then in second place in the division, I have the Cowboys sneaking out at 11-6. Losing to the Giants, beating the Jets, beating the Cardinals, beating the Patriots, losing to the Niners and the Chargers, beating the Rams, losing to the Eagles, beating the Giants, losing to the Panthers, or beating the Panthers, beating the Commanders, beating the Seahawks just because they get a full week of rest there and the Seahawks don't because they get that it gets on my nerves every year, JT, when the Cowboys get a Thanksgiving game and then they get the Thursday night game the week after because that is so unfair. Because one team is getting a full week of rest, one team is getting 4 days. That is ridiculous to me. I don't think that's fair. So I have them beating the Seahawks, and then I have them beating the Eagles, losing to the Bills and the Dolphins, beating the Lions, and then beating the Commanders.
All right. So what about the Eagles? What do you have them doing this year?
I have them beating the Patriots, Vikings, Bucks, Commanders, Rams. I haven't gone 17 now. No, I'm kidding. No. But I do think the Eagles jump out to a hot start and go 9-0. They have a very favorable schedule early on. A lot of their tougher games are at home. The only tough game they have on the road, really, in my opinion, maybe the Patriots and the Jets. But I think they start off 9-0, take care of business, come out of the bye, drop 2 to the Chiefs and the Bills. They go on a little skid here, or then they get the game against the Niners where they're going to smack around the 49ers. Then they go on a skid and lose back-to-back on the road to the Cowboys and the Seahawks. Then they split with the Giants and beat the Cardinals. They end at 12-5.
Okay. Wow. Okay. That's pretty conservative.
Yeah, I would.
5 losses for top 5, top 3, top 5 team. That's pretty conservative.
I feel like a lot of it also might be fear of trying. I feel like sometimes I do this with the Eagles is I kind of underrate them because I try so hard to not be biased.
Right.
And I think I might be doing that there. But I think they're going to lose to the Chiefs on the road. They're going to lose. I don't think they get the job done in Kansas City. And I think they split with the Cowboys and the Giants. So there's the 3. The Bills at home, they might beat, but they're on a short week coming off a tough game. And they're going to be focused on the Niners at the same time. And the Seahawks, I think, are going to be very good this year. And on the road, never an easy place to play. So what's your standings? So you have Commanders in last. Who do you have third?
Yes. So I think we actually have the same standings. I do think like it's really going to be a toss up. I think the Giants could potentially come in second and win one more game than Dallas. It's going to be a really close race. God, I think. But I do have the Commanders winning probably like six games. 6 games,
That's
7
fair.
games.
I think I might have under not appreciated the Commanders enough. I really like Sam
their
Howell.
defense. Their defense is pretty good. They have Jahan Dotson, they have Terry McLaurin, they have some good weapons on the offense. They're just actually this is actually a great segue. I wanted to talk about why is Washington so mid? Like every year, it seems like they hit the lottery with these rosters that they're given. And like year after year, they're just so ungodly mid. What's going on?
Poor coaching, poor management. They've consistently had poor coaching and poor management. I think it could change in the right direction for them with the new owners, but I'm not very confident in it. They also have not had a consistent quarterback in fucking God knows how long. Fucking Robert Griffin III tore his ACL. That was their best quarterback. Kirk Cousins was up and down, and they couldn't make a commitment to him. They probably should have. And then they went through a cycle of Alex Smith, whose leg broke into 8,000 pieces. And then you got then you had Taylor Heineke, who was good only in big games, only played well in big games. And then now they have Sam Howell, who I think is their best shot at having a long-term quarterback. But that's really where it stems from for me, is they just have had poor management, poor coaching, and inconsistent quarterback play.
Right. Okay. All right. Last thing I want to talk about. Who do you feel like are some trade block candidates?
For
Like,
the Eagles or just in general?
I mean, the Eagles are kind of a stacked team. What do the Eagles even really need? Like,
Only thing I can
all
see
right, so if the Eagles, so we get into the bye week, or I'm sorry, not the bye week, the trade deadline, week 9. Your Eagles start out, they're 9-0. They want to compete for a title. Who are they trying to get at that deadline to bolster their roster to make that run?
Jesus. If you're at 9-0 with a team that just went to the Super Bowl, there's nothing they can do. I mean, it's going to be hard to tell. The only thing I could really see them doing at this point, it would be getting a safety or linebacker and maybe go after Jonathan Taylor. But that would really be it. That would really be it. Maybe they go after a Devin White or a Buda Baker or a Jonathan Taylor, but that would really be it. What about for the Giants?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, you said Buda Baker. The Cardinals seem to be, stripping their team. We got Isaiah freaking Simmons. He's going to be amazing for the Giants.
That was a steal.
With a 7th round pick. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that was a steal. I was jealous of that.
That's what Joe Shane does. That's what he has done. He just hasn't really had the capital, the draft capital, the capital to do stuff like that. But I feel like now that he's had over a year in this system, and he's kind of been able to shape this team into his own image, he can kind of do stuff like that. Because that contract, that Daniel Jones contract, he got that done probably within 2 minutes of the deadline, and then right after Saquon got tagged. It was truly amazing. That's what I really knew. I was frustrated when we didn't get a receiver at the deadline last year, but when we got to the deadline this year and I saw how he handled that, the signings that he made, it's just that's what he does. And they trade for Darren Waller, and now he trades for Isaiah Simmons. I'm trying to get his jersey because I'm gonna see him tomorrow. I want to get it signed. But yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, man.
But,
thank you, man. Yeah. Good show today, dude.
Yeah, it was a good show.
Always a good time. Always a good time.
I'm really excited for the season, man.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So you want to tell people the schedule for going forward?
Yeah. So as we're gonna listen, we're both in school. We both work. We both got lives outside of this. I mean, we're not making a living off of it. We're gonna try to do Wednesday nights. We got to see what's going on with work and school and stuff. But just stay tuned. Follow me on Twitter at Cole.tom. Follow JT on Twitter. Is it play your Twitter?
It used to be JTizzle_rocks. It got banned. I didn't do anything because I changed my age from my 18th birthday and I got banned. So because I made the account when I was 12. So yeah. No, but it's my Twitter is just JT_Zimmerman with 2 N's. So
We'll keep you posted on that. We're gonna try for Wednesdays around this time. Sometimes it might be pre-recorded. It's kind of just gonna be what we can get in. But yeah, next week we'll dive a little bit more into preseason stuff, talk more about the NFL in general, and touch on everything. Then the week after that, we got game picks, baby. We got game picks and a week 1 preview.
Oh, I love the game picks. You guys gotta stay tuned for the game picks. That is cream of the crop content right there.
It's awesome.
All right.
Thank you, JT, and we will see you guys next week. Peace out.